This is the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Welcome back to another episode of the Talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
My name is Monty Moore with Realty One Group Music City.
And I'm Jason Hoover. I'm sitting in for Carey Ann with CMG Financial.
Every week we'll be posting a new episode chock full of Nashville real estate value.
You can follow along and subscribe at talkmusiccity.com.
Got a question for us? Ask away at questions@talkmusiccity.com. Tough shoes to fill there, brother.
Well, I think I made it. I'm not sure.
Tough shoes to fill. Carey Ann Cyr. Look, I want to share something. We're going to give a shout out for Carey Ann. I got something here that was recent testimony. Let's hold up and wait to share that though. Jason, I appreciate so much you coming on the show today, and I know it wasn't much notice, and we're going to talk about such an important topic. There's so many newer folks in the real estate industry, and I mean, like I don't remember what the pie shape looked like. I just remembered that the bulk of the people had not been in the business for I think 5 years or less.
Yeah, that's
a huge percentage. And so today we're going to talk about what do you look for in a real estate company? Mm-hmm. What should everybody be looking for in a real estate company, but especially those who are newer to the business? And we'll do that as soon as we talk about our sponsor real quick. As you turn the page.
Music City Removal.
Right. Yes.
Music City Removal.
Yeah. Music City Removal is the #1 junk removal service in Nashville. From residential, commercial, and construction, they're experts in ridding you of junk. Their costs include labor and dumping fees without any hidden or added expenses. Whether you need a full clean out or just one item removed, they have you covered.
The Music City Removal team knows the importance of respect and trust while in someone else's home. They understand the inconvenience of junk left behind by previous homeowners and tenants and are determined to provide an affordable, customer-focused junk removal service that puts you first. For a free on-site estimate, just go to musiccityremoval.com. That's musiccityremoval.com.
Music City Removal, because clutter ain't cute. We did it, Monty. We did it.
Jason, there's a lot of people I'd rather follow than Carey Ann Cyr of CMG Financial.
Right.
I mean, there's that right there could be intimidating. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, but we got it. So yes.
So I want to give a quick shout out to Carey Ann though. Let's give Carey Ann an add a girl, okay, and add a team. Because she never takes any credit for herself. She always defers it to her team. Which is, by the way, for those who don't know Carey Ann, she's one of the top in the world, certainly the top in this state, the #1 mortgage professional in this state. So recently, many of you out there know Carolus Hanna. Carolus is an awesome professional. He's one of our top agents at Realty One Group Music City. This is his recent Facebook post. I'll share it real quickly with everybody. Have you heard the story of the raising of Lazarus? Well, this is what happened with my file at Carey Ann and her CMG team. She's worked a miracle, approved a loan that was declined by 3 different lenders. And in only 10 days, Carey Ann and her team worked magic and got us an approval. On the day of the closing, after extending the contract 3 times, we got declined. When I reached out to Carey Ann, she immediately worked on the file, even though she was on vacation. That's crazy. I didn't know she took vacations. With Carey Ann's strong relationship, this is a factor that wasn't in here, but the builder refused to continue to extend it any further because they had another buyer in the wings. But he goes on to say here, Carey Ann, with her strong relationship and connection with this builder, she was able to get us the approval in 10 days and the extension without any charges. In 10 days exactly, we got the approval. I really can't thank Carey Ann enough and for what her team has done. You're amazing. Me and my clients, thank you so much for your help. Thank you, Carey Ann. Thank you. So anyhow, thank you, Carey Ann, for those kind of raising of Lazarus experiences we've heard from other agents as well. Not everybody is calling them or referring them to that level, but I know the feeling when you've had a file denied and then somebody else can raise it up, especially when it's been denied by 3. I gave Carolus a hard time, of course, that he waited through 3 other lenders before he got it in Carey Ann's hands.
And here's the thing: is that that's not just a one-off. It's story after story.
I know
that you hear. Even in just our office, you hear constantly about how she's able to save these deals.
When I first heard her talk about resurrecting, so to speak, failed transactions, I thought to myself, Carey Ann, you don't really want to go down that path, because then you end up with just a lot of junk. No offense to anybody's lives at all. I mean, everybody's important, but you end up with the hard ones. I mean, that's what I should say, not junk, but the hard ones. And I don't know about everybody else out there, but I don't want just the hard buyers. I don't want just the hard sellers. I want some some easier ones, some nicer ones thrown in the mix as well. And that's the problem when you start developing a reputation of dealing with the tough ones. But she has done it with such grace and such gratitude and such.
She really has.
And just amazing. But so Jason and I have been discussing, what would be a great topic to bring to our listeners today, because our guest had an emergency happen in the family and kind of bailed on us short notice. So we wanted to talk about, what does a great real estate company look like? Mm-hmm. If I'm new to the business, or I'm just thinking about getting involved, what should I be looking for? What are the most important things? So often I see people get hung up on the split, and I've told our own agents, look, when you're first starting out, that first year or so, I mean, depending on the individual, but your split is a non-issue. That has nothing to do with anything. That's like, being, you're in college and you want to know what's that occupation going to pay for sure, when you don't really know at that point in time what it's going to pay. The goal at that point is to get the education and then go market yourself and see what you can get for that. I mean, you certainly have a ballpark, but with real estate, it's anywhere from nothing to millions. I mean, there's no limit, in this industry. I've proven that with my high school education. So we wanted to put down some thoughts, Jim, about what would you be looking for? What should somebody be looking for? And I've written out 10 things here, actually 10 and a half, Jason, but I know that this is just to really kind of prime the pump. Sure. I know there's a lot of topics you can go for. And guys, whether you're brand new to the business or you're a seasoned pro, I think that it's a good idea always to be considering what does a great real estate company look like, and what can we have in today's world?
Yeah,
that maybe we couldn't, 5-10 years ago, for those who've been around. So my number one is, and Jason, you may not agree with this because everybody claims to have it, but my number one is culture. Is having a culture that you feel connected to, having a culture that you feel integrity is important, having a culture that is not just in word, but in deed. I'll never forget a person that I know real well started an organization here locally. And one of the founding efforts was all about culture. And I thought, wow, that's awesome. Wow, that is really cool. I hadn't thought about that in real estate. The idea of having a culture, and what, of course, you don't, what does that look like? You sit by the campfire holding hands and sing Kumbaya. What does that look like? I mean, it's different things for different people. But then when we started having some people from that other organization coming to us, and they were from that organization, and I realized that, wow, this culture thing may not be as real as I was hoping, because there was some resistance. And my conviction is, and Jason, it would be a really, really, really sad day for me if you decided to leave, but my conviction is if I want the best for you, because I talk about having a great culture, then I want the best for you whether you're coming or whether you're going. Mm-hmm. And it feels like some companies out there, and I'm not here, this isn't about criticizing other companies, it's just about bringing a light to the idea. Is your culture genuine? Is it real? Is it for you? Is it a heartfelt culture that's whether you're coming or going. Is it real? I guess is what I'm looking at. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that may shock everybody is that I don't believe that Realty One Group is for everybody. And
no, certainly not.
Like I've shared with you, it's that you got to find what fits you best and what will give you an environment for growth. So you hear, different brokerages talk about their culture, and yeah, culture happens. Culture will happen. Now you should be intentional about creating a culture, because if you don't, it's probably not going to be that great. And I know that's one thing about Realty One Group is that they focus a lot on culture. They even formed the phrase "culture."
Yeah, culture.
Culture, which I didn't quite understand when I first was looking into them. Now I get it.
Yeah.
But it's how they want to create that environment for everybody, and it's kind of designed around it. So yes, culture's it's a big thing, and it is. You mentioned about how you connect. And that's where you find the one that has the type of a culture that you connect with. And, it's at some point, it's going to be your business that is going to determine, well, I love this place, but it's this place, they both got great culture. Mm-hmm. Is this place better for my business to grow?
Right.
So culture is important, but when you have different places where it's great, what else matters? Yeah,
what else matters at that point? I think, though, that the cultural part of it is something that maybe, I know I've been guilty of overlooking, that it didn't matter that much, but what I've found is that it honestly does. It doesn't matter the other things if you don't like going into the office, or you don't like the people you're hanging out with. So I do think that matters. Mm-hmm. At the same time, I think that right up there near the top is training education. I know that we live in such a information world where it's so easy to get information, but having systematic training, I think, is really, really important, and not just online kind of stuff where, are on demand. I think that's great, and we all have, been zoomed out, I think in the last year and a half or so, as far as the benefits or the convenience of that. But boy, nothing like having live trainings,
I love live trainings. Yeah. Zoom is fine. I'm not going to say it's great. It's fine. Yeah. But there's nothing like the energy in a room.
I know.
And we're big balls of energy that are just vibrating. And whenever you're not there in a room, you lose something. So Zoom it's been good to be able to stay in touch and to connect and to train. Mm-hmm. But man, you just can't you can't.
You can't replace.
Yeah, you can't
replace live training, I don't think. I mean, the thing I like about live training so often is you're going to hear some questions that are answered more likely than you would have thought on your own. Mm-hmm. And I think people they're a little reserved, I think, asking questions maybe in a Zoom situation. I don't see a lot of interaction anyhow. I think maybe because all of a sudden that person's got a frame around them, or something, and they're still in their PJs. I don't know. But the live trainings here, that I love that, and I love that you're, every week you're doing a live training, whether it's the foundations class or there's been so many awesome trainings that you brought to the party here.
Yeah, there's so much to teach, and some of these things are, like you said, the foundations class. It's because it is foundational, so we rotate that. It's ongoing, and then there's different trainings for the newer agents, and then there's different trainings for all agents, more seasoned agents.
That foundation class, can you give us a quick rundown? That's 4 classes, right?
Yeah, it's 4 classes. It's 2 hours apiece, and the very first thing that we start off with is about your mindset. Creating a mindset for a successful business, because if you don't get that right, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be an absolute struggle. So we spend 2 hours on having a mindset. What does it look like as far as all the distractions in the world, the noise, and what influences you, whenever you're going from programming all the way to your results, we go through that model. So we spend a whole 2 hours on that piece. The second class, we actually break it down into 2 different parts. It's for the first hour, we talk on all things lead generation. So we kind of go through and mastermind different lead generation activities, and then we do a little deep dive into into a few of them. Not all of them don't have enough time.
Sure.
And then the second part of that class, we actually go over how to host a mega open house, and from the very beginning to the end. And the third one we actually just changed, so it's we just kind of shifted it just a little bit. Is the third one is on creating a CMA and how to value properties.
Awesome.
And then, so that's the first hour. The second hour is all about your CRM. So we have CMA CRM class. Wow. Because if you don't utilize the CRM, you're losing business. There's no way that you can grow a business without leveraging that type of software.
So speaking of CRMs, you actually give your agents a really nice CRM, is my understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. Sync is one of the top CRMs out there. So there's a lot of different CRMs, and I've used quite a few of them, from Brevity to LineDesk. Good grief, Sierra.
Salesforce?
Well, not in real estate, but yes, Salesforce back years back.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no, these are all built specifically for real estate. But anyway, and here's the thing: Sync is very stable. You don't have as many bugs, and hardly ever see any bugs really. And that's what I really love about it. But it has the bells and whistles. We actually give them the pro version. So it's not the the entry level. It's actually the pro that has all the stuff. And so using that, because we had that, teaching them to use it and use it correctly is so important. And because most people that come into real estate never used a CRM before.
Right. Most haven't.
They don't understand it, and they think, writing it, in an Excel spreadsheet or in a notebook, that just won't cut it.
I'm thrilled to hear that you're using part of that foundational class to get people to go deeper into the CRM value and understand it, so they're not afraid of it. Because in today's world, I think you have to get in the mindset, I've got to work greater numbers than maybe I would have years ago. Right.
Well, and then the fourth class, it's all about contracts. So we go through the different contracts, the PSA, the buyer rep, the listing agreement. So out of those four classes, obviously, it's not everything that you can teach, but we call it foundations, because for every new agent, that is a great place to start.
I personally believe that the reason why our industry has such a huge fallout ratio is, first of all, it's harder than what people realize. And I get it when I sit across the table from a brand new agent and I try to say, look, however hard you think this is, it's going to be harder than that. But that's like saying to somebody who's sitting at the bottom of Mount Everest, hey, however hard you think this is, it's a hell of a lot harder than this. You don't have anything to really gauge it to, unless you're a mountain climber. If you're a salesperson, you have a little more insight. And of course, I think that there's a huge advantage of somebody being from any sort of other type of sales rather than just jumping in at cold, unless they're a nurse or a teacher or what else? What other kind of person makes a great realtor in your experience? Those teachers make awesome agents.
They do. Well, my wife.
There you go. There's an example. And the reason I think that they're used to working for far less than what they're worth. They're used to enduring pain. They're used to being super patient. When I say pain, I mean the pain of, well,
right. Yeah. No, I think we all understand.
The pain. And nurses, of course, because you've got to have that caring heart, and again, probably not making what you should be as far as the value you bring to the planet.
Yeah.
So those four foundational classes, critical.
And that we cover one per week, but that's just for the getting started. And any agent can come to those, but we do require it for the new agents because it's so important. Now
speaking of the training, let's see. Let's get to the third one here on the list is mentorship.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. I am so proud of our mentorship program. I can't tell you.
Yeah, the mentorship program. So we call it the Black and Gold Mentorship Program, and so we split some agents out when they're brand new, and so their first 3 transactions they're in the Black level. Once they do that, and they move up to the Gold level. Well, in the Black level, we come together as a group. And they have me and Kathy as a mentor, but we do a class, an accountability class every Monday for 2 hours, and they turn in their forms. But the great thing is on these forums, it's very simple. It's what every agent should be asking themselves, if not more. And that is, what was my goal? What did I do last week for lead gen? What were some of my obstacles? And what am I committed to doing this week? And that's all that is.
Awesome.
So, and we make it to where, hey, this is your ticket to entries. You got to turn this in if you're going to come to class. And they do, and they love it, because we then have roughly about, an hour of our training is based on what they turn in, because other agents are seeing that they're having maybe some of the same struggles,
same challenges, yeah.
Or another agent did something that inspires another, and it's a great time to kind of almost mastermind around it. So we spend an hour there. Then I usually have another topic that we will cover in the second hour.
Cool.
But yeah, cool. So it's
so the mentorship program. Let me understand it. So the first 3 transactions, you have you and Kathy as the mentor. That's the black level. And then once they get those first 3 closed, then they graduate to another level.
Yeah, so the gold level, and then so what you do, because your first 3 transactions, you've got your feet up under you. You kind of know what's going on. Obviously, you're not you don't know all the ins and outs.
No, I don't
think
know.
we do. I
don't.
But you got a good idea of how to write a contract. What you need to do in your CRM, put it into SkySlope, all that fun stuff. So by that time, we connect you based on personalities. We connect you with one of our experienced agents that have gone through our mentorship training.
Okay.
And they are your one-on-one mentor.
Personal mentor. The next 3, you have a personal mentor.
Yeah, and we say another 3 because once you've done 6 deals, I mean, you go through this type of training, you've got a good grasp on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then, as always, I mean, you still have support from you and I and anybody. We have a great culture about agents that help each other out.
I'll never forget, Jim, my training when I first got my license. What Jason just described is so amazing. So amazing. Here's what I got. I got from my broker. He said, here's a contract filled out. Here's one not filled out. Make this one look like this one. And that was my training. Of course, back then, that was about all there was for a contract. It was front and back of 1 page, had everything on it. But that was my training. Make this one look like that one. And so now when I see the kind of mentorship program that Jason's making available to these brand new folks, I know in my heart the likelihood of long-term success, the likelihood that they get through those first 2 or 3 years is 100-fold at least.
Right.
Because they have that foundation. I see so often, and I get on some agents' cases sometimes. I said, you're trying to jump in to build a house, but you're starting with the roof. If you're out there trying to, put a deal together and you don't know what in the hell you're doing, you're practicing on the consumer, and that's one of the reasons why the real estate industry sometimes has a challenged reputation, because the people have been practiced on rather than having a professional lead them through the process, because they didn't have that foundational understanding.
Well, and one of the things I start off with, actually, I think probably the very first thing is in our mindset class is covering, talking about the 87%. That I believe it was NAR that did that stat that within like the first 2 years, 87% of the agents are out of business. Gone. So, and I shared that, it's our passion that the agents in our brokerage, in our offices, that if nothing else, we can swap those numbers.
Right, absolutely.
I want 87% that are still making in the business
and succeeding and prospering.
Right, and that's why, and that's kind of where we started creating, like, well, what does it take for agents to not fail? And that's where all this training is like, well, they got to know this, they got to know this, and so we focus in on that. And, like you've heard me say this before, the one thing that I tell them that I can't help them with is the hustle.
Yeah, you got to bring the hustle.
You got to bring the hustle. We can bring everything else to the table. We can train you.
Yeah. Jason, I love the fact that you have continued, since we've been working together for a couple of years now, or close to it, you've continued to meld, to mold, to, bring this, like I called it recently, the 2.0 version of our mentorship program, because you keep learning from yesterday and improving for tomorrow.
You have to. You have to. We're constantly changing. We're always learning. If you stop learning, you start dying.
So number 4 I have here on my list is available leadership.
Yes.
Available leadership. Let's talk about that for a second, because I know my own personal heart's desire is to hopefully be the broker, hopefully be the leader that I don't know that I've had in the past. And what I mean by that is, too often it felt like if I left a call on Monday, it might be returned on Friday, with the philosophy that, if I wait long enough, he'll find the answer. And it wasn't that often that I asked that many questions, but I don't want to be that broker. I want to be the one that's available 7 days a week. And I know that we don't have that many emergencies, but it's really, really nice when sometimes somebody will reach out to me, and I'll take, less than an hour usually to respond. But when I do, they've already contacted you. I mean,
I get the same.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we've got that covered. I think it's unusual to be a bit, I don't know, I could be totally wrong.
No, I think it's important too, because it shows our heart. And I'm not trying to toot our own horn here, but I mean, you've got to have the heart to do it.
You've got to.
I think too, it helps us guide them in the right direction and trains them correctly. And that's, one of the things that we're adamant about is doing things in an excellent way, and you do it properly. Mm-hmm. And so that's one thing about Realty One Music City, is that, I want our agents to stand out. When people see that sign or people hear, I want them to think, oh, those are professionals.
Amen to that, man. I want that to be, we consider ourselves the gold standard with 100% companies, but that happens only by reputation, and that happens only if we guard that reputation, and that we're really intentional about that topic. And I know you and I both share the conviction that we'll never ask our agents to do something we're not willing to do. Well, heck, how can we demand them to respond to their calls that come in, whether it be through consumer or their peers, if we're not doing the same thing and responding just as quickly?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about for a second what I've got here on number 5 is strong core values. Strong core values. Let's talk about what kind of core values does our OGMC have, and what might be something that somebody would be wanting to be, to look at. And I don't mean to get way out there or too deep. One of the basic things I'm looking for really in somebody is, do they have the capacity to always try to stay committed to doing the next right thing? In whatever that situation is, just simply doing the next right thing. To me, that's one of my core values of business is doing the next right thing. Right.
And integrity, you hear it thrown around a lot, but integrity is so personal to me.
Absolutely.
I will fire a client. I will fire a retailer, or I will stop doing business if I ever have to question their integrity. And that's one thing that I instill in the agents, and I know you do, is even whenever we're doing transactions and there's a difference of opinion, is come from start with integrity, integrity, and then let's work this out, and do the right thing, and I think that's. A lot of times people have not done that, and that's what's given us a bad name.
Well, it is, and then they're running from that or trying to justify it or those kind of things. One of the core values I think that I really love that we're impressing upon our family of professionals is what you have on your business card. I love that you and Mindy put expect
excellence.
Expect excellence.
Yes.
I love that because it not only conveys to the consumer that you can count on me to bring an excellent experience, but it also reminds your subconscious mind that you've held yourself to a bar that maybe is not always commonplace out there, and it brings. I think it requires an A game.
It does.
If I'm holding out to you, if I'm handing you a card that says, Jason, you can expect excellence from me as a broker, I'm going to sit a little taller. Yeah. And because I know you're going to hold me accountable to that, So I don't see that on a lot of cards because I think it takes kahunas to be willing to step up and say, you know what, expect excellence in this experience.
Right. And that's one of the things that we tell our clients is that if you're not receiving that, let me know.
Yeah.
Give me an opportunity because
Absolutely.
I want to fix it.
Right.
That's not just something written on a card. That's not just something that we're saying. We want to make it right. And so please, if we're not, we always start out the conversation. Through this transaction, we want to be able to earn a 5-star review from you. Mm-hmm. If at any time that we are not meeting that, please let us know so that we can correct it.
And I want to have that same conviction with our agents. I think you heard me say recently on the huddle call that we're putting similar to mailboxes in both of our offices, and we're asking the agents, help us get better. How can we get better? Yeah. What give us some suggestions. I'm not saying I'm going to change everything or anything. I'm just saying everybody's voice matters. How can we get better? Because that's absolutely critical to I believe our future.
And the whole expect excellence. I mean that's kind of what we are instilling in all the agents anyway. Even from you meeting them for the first time in whenever you guys are doing recruiting meetings and things like that, is that we want people to be proud of that.
Absolutely.
We want people to be proud that they're going to partner with a company that truly, firmly believes in this.
Yes.
And that we all stand tall, like you said, and proud of what we deliver.
Right.
And not everybody is able to make that.
No, and that's where I probably lose some patience sometimes with folks because I'm trying to protect our company's reputation, and that means each individual's reputation. That's why we're trying to raise that bar. Jim, do we have time to talk about a few others?
Sure.
So
Keep going with it.
One of the I think obviously most critical once somebody has the foundation under them, and you've taught them how to fish. And not just handed them fish, but then to have those lead generation systems as well. And I know that you created one recently, and we have several others in the organization. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, the eComm team. So it was a process that I used in my business when my wife came on board. She continued using it. It was funny is these leads that I had gained through this whole process. She's closing back before she even got into the business because she's nurtured them for so long. And it's all about building the pipeline.
Yeah.
And so this the eComm team is the group of us in the office that we all have skin in the game, and we're working these, and we have meetings twice a month, and it's not 100% hands off. No true lead system will be that. If it is, they're going to cost you a fortune.
Yeah.
But we train them how to do it. It's that kind of goes back again to cultures that this was something that was working for us, and we implemented. I came to you and we implemented it and gave other agents an opportunity to do the exact same thing.
I love that about you, brother, because you and I both know you could have just built your team rather than bring it to the organization.
Right.
I love that giving heart. I absolutely love it. Cutting edge technology is what I've got on number 7. I know that you've been in other companies before. How does our technology compare?
Well, here's the thing. This is kind of how I describe it to people: is that everything has to be highly efficient whenever you are a 100% shop, right? And we don't have 17 people on payroll here.
Right.
And I don't know what the total is, but I think it's on one hand, maybe barely over,
It's about 5 between two offices.
I thought it was about 5.
Yeah.
So your systems have to be top notch, have to be, very, very, I guess, easy to understand, easy to implement, and just very efficient in what you do. Now, that's the back end, but the front end is just the same. It's that whole same idea from Realty One is that we've got to build it both ways, and so the technology, again, going back to Sync. I mean, it's one of the top CRMs out there.
Yeah, well, that pro version alone would cost I think $500 or $600 a month if you went but we're giving it to our agents.
And then there's other different things that ROG is always partnering with. I love it, that give other types of systems like referral things, review, requesting reviews, which are highly important. I mean, all sorts of different things that they are providing the agents that I love it.
I think one thing that I love about our leader in ROGM's at Realty One Group is I see the value. If you've got a pool of, let's say, I don't know, 10,000, 100,000 people, whatever number, and the more things that you can add into it yourself and be the author of, greater is the profit back to you. I get that. The problem with that, though, is that you could lose some credibility or lose some, people could lose confidence in you if you're dragging them through the preliminaries processes, and the learning curves and so forth. I get the benefit of that, but my point is, I love the fact that Kuba, the founder of Realty One Group, has, instead of creating his own, even though he came from a technology background, that's his whole background, he instead has chosen the best in an arena to align with. And I love that. So it's so much more empowering, because if somebody does drop the ball or another company offers something better, then you can switch and go there, and stay with the times without the cost of the changing technology, certainly, but also the cost of reputation, because you had to drag people along through a learning curve while through the beta system and all that kind of thing. So I love that.
And two, I want to, I think it needs to be said that, we offer these programs. We offer the Sync Pro. It doesn't mean you have to use it. No, definitely. If you have one that you enjoy, use it. The best CRM out there is the one that you're actually going to be using.
The one that you'll use.
Yes.
That's absolutely right. And of course, when back to the cutting edge technology, I think it's $5,000 or $6,000 a year that's provided if somebody used all the things that were provided in this organization. Yeah. So another thing,
not a cost to anybody. I just want to clarify that it's not a cost to the agents. Not a cost to the
agents at all. So a strong national brand. I know that there's some folks around that think, I don't need a national brand. I like the little mom and pop. I would disagree. I've been involved with, let's see, I've been in I've owned 4 different offices, and 3 of those 4 were national brands. I think there's some advantage in today's world, maybe if you're out in the country, way out in the country, and just working a little mom and pop shop, maybe it doesn't matter there. But if you're going to, be connected with the rest of the world, I mean, the way California and New York and Illinois is coming to Nashville, it's nice that we're getting a lot of referrals coming this way.
Sure,
I love that,
and I think that's that's probably one of the biggest things, that being a national and actually international now, is the referral, the connection between agents of different offices,
the direct referral.
Right,
they're working it out between themselves. There's not a middle person in there that's saying, okay, you got to send me 35% of that.
Right.
I love that part. And the fact that this particular brand, it sounds like we're bragging about Realty One Group, but this particular one that we're talking about happens to be the fastest growing real estate franchise in the entire nation right now, which that doesn't hurt, I don't think. So
no, not at all.
High visibility, easy access offices with tons of parking.
Parking is a premium.
Connie and I were out, when we were looking for our second office, the first one being in Franklin and near Sperry's restaurant, the second one, I didn't know where we didn't want to be in the belly of the beast. Every time we found a decent space, you had to walk 2 blocks away for the parking. You could find great parking, but the space sucked, and
or when there's a big meeting or guest speaker coming, you're having to get there early, or you're walking.
Exactly. Or there's no place to sit.
Either office, you got plenty
of parking. High visibility. When you want to have a closing at your office, easy to tell people how to get there. I think those things matter.
It does matter.
I think. So let's wind this up. We got a couple more things real quickly here. That is, and for those who are wondering, yes, we're talking about Realty One Group Music City. In the meantime, we're also trying to encourage folks to think about these topics, whether it's us or not. Because again, we're coming from a place of abundance. We only want the best for our agents. When I have somebody sit down with me and say, well, you guys are, it looks like you're, $100 a month more than this one. And I would say right off the bat, let's save each other some time. If you're looking for the cheapest deal in town, God bless you. That's awesome. There's a huge market for that. Here's what I'd recommend. And I recommend a couple other companies. We are not the cheapest. Now, in all sincerity, I know I'm the owner of the company, but if you're looking for the best value, that might be another story. Then I think we probably should talk if you're looking for the best value.
Yeah.
And part of that value, of course, as you know, is we have a very low monthly fee of $150, and we have a very low transaction fee. The average transaction fee is only around $4.95, and that it is progressive because what we pay the company is progressive, but it's very, very, very reasonable. Instead of leaving $2,000, $3,000 on the table on an average on a $300,000 deal, you're gonna leave $495. I don't know that. I can't tell you how much money I've left on the table over the years.
Same here.
And that's for 100% commission. Number 10, of course, that we have on here is there's a commission split. I do think it's important. Obviously, you want to know how much you're bringing. But let me say this for those companies who are not 100%. When you're starting out, if you're a brand new agent, you're starting out, again, I want to go back to what I said in the very beginning of this conversation, and that is split doesn't matter. What matters are these other things, and number one being the mentorship and training, okay? That is what is absolutely crucial, and hopefully in a culture, in an environment that you can thrive in, that you feel has your back, all right? But eventually, whether that's a year down the road, 2 years down the road, eventually you start questioning. And then again, this is no criticism to anybody. I've just been there, okay?
Yeah.
37 years in the industry. I've been there. You start asking, let's see, I got this, I brought in this, I got that, and I left this on the table. I'm wondering, did I get my value out of that? Did I get what do I feel good about that? And that's when the natural progression happens to people start getting frustrated. When we had a company that was charging 70-30, I lost some amazing agents. Some were really good friends. And some of that happened out through frustration because they waited until they got frustrated with how much they were focused on what they were leaving on the table at that point in time, And so that's why Connie and I, did what Minnie said was crazy, and that was to open up a 100% office, but no longer with the restrictions that have been known in the past. In the past, you had two options primarily, and that was a conventional office that provided the tools, technology, training, and support, and so forth, and culture, and you left $20,000 to $30,000 on the table. Or you had the option of getting 100% of your commission, but maybe not a whole lot of training, maybe not a great environment, maybe kind of at the end of the alley or whatever. I don't not, again, I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing anybody. I'm not. Those were the two options. It only made sense, because if you're getting 100% of your commission, how can you provide any more than that? Mm-hmm. Well, Realty One Group, the founder, has come up, has the insight and wisdom to bring all that under one roof.
Yeah.
Tools, technology, training, support, leadership, everything you're looking for, and the ability to make 100% of your hard-earned dollars.
Yeah, and it comes down to, like I told you, it was a business decision.
I'm sold. I'm sold. How about you? You sold?
I am.
It's a business decision. I love that, Jim, when he came in here, he sat right there in that chair, and he said, when we walked in, we said, I don't know why we would make a move. Monty's okay, but I don't know why we'd make a move.
Right.
And then they left and had a cocktail next door and said, I don't know why we wouldn't make a move.
Why wouldn't we?
Why wouldn't we? Anyway.
In those organizations where you've come from and some of the other organizations we're talking about, can you feel the culture when you walk through the door? Can you feel it here? Did you feel it here, Jason?
Feel it here? Yes, absolutely. And that's what I like about it is that, and I'm not saying that the office, or the individual offices are a bad thing. I'm not saying that at all. You need it, especially if you got teams. I love that walking in this office, in either one of them now, it's all open. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like a open concept home where your kids are there on the TV or you're over here at the table. You see each other and you're connected instead of everybody being in their individual rooms. You see what I'm saying? Even though you're in the same building. Yeah. And so you can't help but feel it, because when you walk in, you see everybody, and everybody's hi, says hi to you.
Yeah, it's a different environment.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we always described it as agent-centric culture.
Agent-centric.
Yeah.
It's an agent-centric culture.
Whenever we did videos and production and things of that nature for you guys, that's what I've always come away with, how to describe it. It's just agent-centric.
It's agent-centric.
Truly.
Mm-hmm. So if you're out there watching us today and you are thinking about I've been wondering about what Realty One Group's all about, or I've been wondering about, looking at other 100% offices or whatever. You want to sit down? Maybe we'll be a good fit. Maybe we won't. But again, I go back to what we said when we first opened this company. The only way we'll ever know if we're a good fit or not for one another is if we sit down and chat for a few minutes. Thanks again for watching us today at the Talk of Music City Real Estate. Hopefully soon, our partner in crime, Carey Ann Cyr, will be back with us real soon. In the meantime, Mr. Jason Hoover has filled those shoes real well. Jason, thank you. I know it's a tough job to come in here and sit next to me. Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
Jim, thank you for all you do for us.
Yes, sir.
Be sure and tune back in to the Talk of Music City Real Estate real soon.